Hello and welcome. So I have done a text post about this on my personal Facebook page, but I thought I would do a bit of a longer video because once upon a time I had a weight loss vlog on this channel, believe it or not. I have since privated all those videos because I just wasn't happy with what I was putting out, basically. For the last 14 months I've been on Mounjaro to help me lose weight because basically for the last few decades I've been on various different diets, exercise regimes and stuff like that, and it just never worked for me, or it worked for a short while and then stopped working and I just put the weight back on and even more. At time of recording I am 38 kilos or 6 stone down from when I started. I think the difference in my weight isn't as noticeable from the front when you look at my body, but it's much more visible from the side. However, when you look at my face, the difference in my face is a lot more visible. I was looking for a photo or a video or something from around the time when I started on Mounjaro, but because technically I'm a bit camera shy, which seems a bit weird having a YouTube channel, but because I didn't put anything out on my YouTube in 2025, the most recent thing before now or before starting the Mounjaro was from December 2024. And when I looked at it, because I don't like looking at myself very much, when I looked back at the video, I was absolutely astounded by the difference. It should be playing here somewhere about, so I might put it next to my head so you can see the difference. In fact, I'm going to scoot over a little bit so I can put a side-by-side comparison here. The difference is actually quite astounding. Like, I realised recently that, you can't quite see it from this angle, but I have a jawline now. Or at least a more visible jawline, and I think that will become more visible with time as well. But I didn't realise just how much more neck I have now. Like, you can actually see that I have a neck. Maybe not from this angle, but you know, sort of face on, it's a bit more necky. So that video is from about 5 months before I started the injections. I don't know what weight I was at the time. I don't know what weight I was when I started using Mounjaro because I didn't have scales that went up high enough. I just assumed that they didn't make them that went over 20 stone. I don't know why I assumed that. So then about a month in, I looked for some, got ones that went up to 30 stone, and I was finally able to get an accurate reading. This is not the end of my weight loss at all. I've lost 6 stone, but that is the first 6 of many. I aim to get down to about 15 stone and then sort of reevaluate whether I want to continue losing weight or if I'm happy at that point, because while I do want to lose weight, I do think I will always be a plus size person. I don't want to be skinny. I don't think that would suit me at all. But I just want to be a lot more healthy than I am or have been in the past. I know that some people think that using Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, any of the GLP ones or, you know, what have you, that sort of thing is like giving up on losing weight and that you should just work harder. But I think for people who are at my size or even smaller who find it hard to lose weight because of other things like PMOS or PCOS, thyroid issues, anything like that, having something else that helps is worth it because it means that you can actually lose that weight that you struggle to lose over the years. Like, me losing weight is not through a lack of trying or through a lack of willpower. It's been too hard to do it, and that, I suppose, that is difficult to explain to anyone who does find it easy to just kind of give up pasta for a month so they can lose a few kilos or something. There are some people for whom losing weight is almost impossible or is a completely Sisyphean task. Every time you get to the next stage, something happens and it goes right back to where it was before or even further. But I've not just relied on the meds. Obviously, it does take more than just taking medication to lose weight. There is no magic pill that will, or injection in this case, that will get you to lose weight. You still have to put the effort in to exercise, to make sure that you're eating properly, making sort of more sensible choices and things like that. I've not put myself on a specific diet because I will just cheat on it. I've always been the same. Even on the Mounjaro, I have tried kind of cutting out things, but then I will just cheat on it and I'll have it anyway. So I might as well still have that thing, but have it in smaller portions. So I don't have chocolate every day. I might have one chocolate every now and then. I love pasta, but instead of having it every day, like I would if left to my own devices normally. We don't have it that often. We have a much more varied diet. Exercising is something that I've been doing a lot more over the last couple of years. Even before going on Mounjaro, I was going to the gym every weekend with my other half. And through going to the gym, I have absolutely seen my stamina improve. And I think when we first started going to the gym, I could do about 2 minutes on the bike before I actually had to rest to catch my breath and be able to carry on without being in pain. But now I can do 10 to 15 minutes depending on the intensity, and I do want to see that improve again further. Since we moved house, we haven't been to the gym because we've moved away from where we were at our old gym, and we haven't signed up to a new one, but we will be signing up this week. Or we will have already signed up by the time this video goes out. At some point in the next couple of weeks, we will have signed back up at the gym and we'll be getting back on that. But even then, I have my kettlebells. Well, I have this one. I think I have another one upstairs, which is slightly heavier and I don't use, but I quite like this. It's quite cool. I have a lighter one, which doesn't look as cool. It's just a plain one. And they sit here next to my desk so that while I'm working, I can do a quick few reps just because I'm already sat down, so I'm going to do those bits. We also go out and about more, and I do more housework and stuff in the garden now than I did at the old house. So I'm still getting up and moving about a lot more than I used to. Like at the old house, I could spend 8 hours sat down in the living room, apart from maybe getting up to go to the toilet or get some lunch or something, and I would be just sat down the whole time. Whereas here, I'm getting up and moving about a lot more than I had done before. On weekends, when it's time to do the weekly shop, I will go with my wife to do it. I'm walking around. It might not seem like much, but walking around for half an hour to an hour doing the shopping, it gets me up, it gets me moving. It might not be an intense workout, but it is still me moving around and engaging my muscles and getting fresh air and trying not to bump into humans. I am paying for this out of my own pocket because I don't qualify for the NHS's prescription. I'm lucky that because of our household income, we are able to afford it. It is still expensive and it is still quite a drain on our resources, but I'm very grateful that we are able to pay for it. I do hope that the NHS will change its requirements for people being prescribed Mounjaro or whatever on the NHS. I think at the moment you have to have a BMI over 35, which I definitely do. But then you also have to have other weight-related illnesses. Currently, I don't have any other weight-related illnesses, touch wood, and I don't want to develop them, which is why I am losing weight. But I feel like it would be beneficial for the NHS in the long run if they were able to provide it to people just with a BMI over a certain amount. While I do think BMI is a load of boo hockey most of the time, when it is an extreme number like mine is, I think, I haven't worked it out recently, but it's probably over 60, definitely over 50 at least. But I think that if someone's got a BMI of that high, it should be just they can get it prescribed, because not everyone is lucky enough to be able to afford it. Like I can afford it, or we can afford it because of my wife's wage together with mine. If it was just mine, I wouldn't be able to afford it. But I'm not saying that the NHS should give it to me for free necessarily, but there will be people who are in a lower economic bracket than we are and aren't able to afford it, and it would help them to be able to lose weight. And I think it can only help people because they're not going to, or they're less likely to develop things later on down the line that would be a drain on the NHS, like developing type 2 diabetes, or heart conditions, anything else, you know, something that has to be medicated and treated for the rest of that person's life. If you can help them lose the weight now, then that will just help them in the future, surely, and will help the NHS in the future. You know, sort of investing in people's health while they still have it or can regain it is going to be more beneficial to the NHS than then having to deal with it later down the line. So anyway, I am looking forward to losing more weight and getting to sort of a better size, because I think it will also help more with my arthritis. I have noticed that my joints do hurt a bit less, and I can last a bit longer when walking around and stuff than I had before. There was God, probably a couple of months now, the wife and I went shopping to find her some clothes. I think we were buying clothes to go on holiday. There was nothing I could buy, obviously. But we were walking around in the shops, and because I wear a smartwatch, it told me how long I'd been walking around for, and I realised that I'd been walking around for a lot longer than I normally would do before needing to have a sit down, and that was a happy occasion for me. I realised that I've been walking around for probably half an hour, 40 minutes, without needing to have a sort of a sit down and rest my joints. So, it definitely is having a beneficial effect on me. My main worry, I think, for when I have sort of finished losing the weight, or not finished losing the weight, but when I've got to my goal weight, is the excess skin that I'll have. Because I've been very big for a very long time, there will be a lot of excess skin, and because I'm in my late 30s, it will my skin won't be as elastic as it would have been if I'd managed to do this 10 years ago, for example. So far, I haven't noticed an awful lot of loose skin. I have noticed, I know this is silly, but if I do this on my neck, there is a bit of loose skin here, but it's only when I do that. It's not like loose all the time, as it were. But that's something that I'll worry about when I get to that point. If it is something that I need to go to see a doctor to get help with, or have to have like surgery to remove excess skin, then that's something that I will worry about when I get to that point. Losing the weight is the more important bit now. I can always wear, compression underwear and stuff like that to hold stuff in if I need to. The only thing I've been measuring is my weight. I haven't been measuring like my inches or anything like that. I do have to measure myself occasionally when I'm making clothes for myself, and I have noticed that tops of my arms are a bit different, but I have been working on those. That's why I've got the kettlebells, so that I can work out in these areas to help them work the fat off there. I'm assuming that's how that works. If you know anything about sort of exercise and weight loss and sports science and that sort of thing, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I do keep it logged on three different apps. So I have a spreadsheet that I've made myself. I use the app that is for the company where I got my Mounjaro from, or I'm getting my Mounjaro from, and another is MyFitnessPal. Because I've been logging my weight on MyFitnessPal for a lot longer than anything else, that's why I'm putting it in there, because then I can see the progression from the very beginning, whereas the company I'm getting the Mounjaro from at the moment isn't the company that I've been getting it from the whole time, so I've not been able to log the whole thing. And then having the spreadsheet that I'm logging everything on is just because I love spreadsheets, and I want to be able to make my own charts at some point in the future with various different bits in it. So I kind of keep it in a few different places, but it also means that if something happens and I lose access to one of them, I've still got the others as a backup to where I've got everything logged down. And while I haven't been sort of measuring anything except for the weight, I have noticed a few different things where it definitely shows that I've lost that weight. So one thing that happened recently is I had to replace all of my tights because I had shrunk out of the ones that I already had. I always get snag tights because they go very large, and I've been large for quite a long time, and I've always had the largest size that they do, and I've always liked them because they don't fall down, they stay up. And I was finding that they were sliding down a lot more, and I was like, oh, maybe I've used these too much, or I've washed them too often. And then I realised it's because I have lost weight, I actually need a smaller size. So I've bought a whole new set of tights. The old ones will not go to waste. I have cut them up, so I've got the legs to do some kind of crafts with at some point. They'll be good for like holding the stuffing in soft toys if I make those in the future, or for being like cushions, and I will find a use for them. And if I can't find a use for them, I'll put them in the clothing recycling somewhere. But the tops of them I will kind of show you now. I wear them underneath my vest tops if I'm not wearing a bra, just because it kind of keeps everything held in, but means that I don't have to wear a full bra, because I don't like wearing them a lot of the time. To explain a little bit better, because that was an awful explanation, that is the waistband of the tights. So I cut the legs off, so that's like the arse of the tights is what I'm wearing underneath my vest top. Anyway, seeing how baggy my clothes are is incredible as well, because there's some clothes that I bought that only just fit me or were slightly too tight when I first got them, and they are now baggy on me. And it's not just through wearing and washing them. It is more than that kind of bagginess. It is a lot more. Even this cardigan I'm wearing, I made this for myself earlier this year, and it is a lot too big for me. I think I will need to do something to it to make it a bit smaller, or to make it fit a bit better, because I find that as I'm walking around, it's just sliding off all over the place because it is a bit too big for me. One thing that I knew I wanted to be something that I would notice is being able to sit closer to my steering wheel in the car. So like, obviously the wife is a bit smaller than I am. I say a bit, I'm obviously under exaggerating. She's a lot smaller than me. So she sits a lot closer to the steering wheel. So when one of us is driving after the other one has been, then we have to move the chair. And I don't have to move it as far now. There is a lot more gap between my stomach and the wheel, which I really like. But my ultimate goal with that is to not have to move the chair at all and be able to have it the same setting as my wife, because then we won't have to change it and it won't be annoying. As I mentioned before, being able to walk around for a lot longer without needing to have a rest, that's something that I have noticed and I'm very happy about. I think because of my arthritis, I will never be at a point where I can like hike up a mountain or anything like that. Or I might be able to, but I will need frequent rest stops along the way. But being able to last for longer is better, because I do worry that I'm impeding other people's enjoyment of a day out by having to sit down and rest. Because like if I go out with my wife, or if we go out with her family or anything like that, I'm holding everyone up by sitting down and having to rest. And I feel like that's an imposition to everyone else, even if they say it's not, or they, you know, it might not be, but they might just be being polite. Because otherwise it would be a bit mean to go, no, keep walking, fatty. Not that they would call me that, but you know what I mean. I don't want to be an imposition. I don't want to ruin people's enjoyment of a day or slow things down, because I can't help it. Not having to worry so much when a chair has arms on it when I'm going out and about somewhere. Like a lot of chairs in public, whether it's benches outside somewhere in a park or whatever, or if it's a chair in a restaurant, a lot of them have arms, and that is a bit of an imposition when you have wide hips. I want to say hips, it's your ass, because if the arms are just along the sides, it's not so bad because you can kind of fit underneath it. But if the arms go down the sides as well, that can be an issue. Like there are cinemas that I can't necessarily go to, or couldn't in the past, because the seats were just too narrow. Definitely old theatres. There's a theatre in Manchester, I can't remember the name of, but we went to a comedy podcast show a couple of years ago, and myself and another person who was there, who's also very large, we were both finding it very difficult to sit in the seats. We had to sit on the aisle so that we could kind of stick out a little bit and sort of sit really far forward on the seats, just because we couldn't fit in where the arms were. I don't have to worry about that as much. I am still quite big and some still do get in the way, but I have to worry less about fitting in them. I do still worry about like folding chairs, because of that they just don't look like they'll support my weight. We have some folding chairs in our house, they're actually like garden chairs. I think they are from IKEA, I'm not sure, but because they are folding chairs, I do not want to try sitting in them. I am very worried that I will break them, so I haven't sat in those chairs. But I'm looking forward to being able to sit in those without worry at some point in the future, or similar ones. One that I didn't think that I would notice, or that I didn't think about at any point, is being able to fit things on my lap. So like when I'm sat on the sofa, before I'd lost the weight, my stomach would sit far enough forward that I couldn't like put a bowl or a plate on my lap to balance it, or while I'm using it or anything like that, but now I can. And I didn't even purposefully try to do it. It was just one day I put a plate down and I was like, oh, that fits, and it doesn't fall off or get pushed by my stomach. So yeah, that was a nice surprise. Also, last month we hired a van to move some furniture from my folks that they'd been keeping for us because we couldn't fit it in the old house. And I had to be the driver because of issues with my wife's driving licence, temporary issues, all fixed now. I had to be the one that hired it and drove it. And as I was driving, I realised that had I not lost the weight, I wouldn't have been able to drive the van, because the van is like a fixed cab at the front. It wasn't like a car where you've got space behind the driver that you can move the chair back. I wouldn't have been able to fit in, because I wouldn't have been able to do the seatbelt up, because it was pretty much at its limit as it was. And I wouldn't have been able to fit behind the steering wheel. Or if I had fit behind the steering wheel, I would have had my stomach properly on the steering wheel, and that wouldn't have been good, and it wouldn't have been comfortable. I do have a lot more that I want to say, but the battery is running out on my camera, and I don't want this video to get too long and rambly. Well, more long and more rambly than it already has been. So I will come back another time. So thank you very much for watching. If you would like to find me elsewhere, the link to my Linktree is in the doobly-doo. Bye for now.